Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Hold the Ball. Before I start, I just want you guys to know I'm wearing a cap called Love, so that means basically you, Books, myself, me, you, we are all love. Don't forget that. Remember that always, and spread the love. May as well just start with a positive message. But in saying that, another positive person beside me, it's Books. I'm not going to introduce him. I'll let him introduce himself. So to you, brother, over to you.
Sweet. What's going on, guys? It's a boogie. What's going on? Appreciate Hold the Ball for putting me on the platform again. Last time was amazing. This time, a little bit better of a setup this time, so that's going to be awesome. And share the love around, guys. Positivity. It's the only way we move forward as a community. So, yo.
Awesome, as and look, as we were discussing before the started, we're talking about all different types of sports, right? From NBA, NFL, our favorite teams, EPL as well. But hey, we got the Rugby League World Cup, and I'm really, really excited about this. And again, thank you for joining us. So yes, well, that being said, welcome to the Rugby League World Cup chat. We will be dissecting, analyzing, and give you guys our general predictions, I suppose, of Pool A. So Pool A, for those who don't know, Pool A consists of France, England, Greece, as well as Samoa. And that, to me, is a pretty, I suppose, hectic sort of a pool. So without trying to give away too much, Boogie, what are your thoughts on this pool in general, these teams?
So I think this pool is like a very nicely balanced pool overall. I got three teams here that are really really good contenders. Four teams here that are really good contenders overall. The French team obviously goes unknown, but also they have a lot of grit and grind. The amount of if you look at them in the Super League and that, there are a lot of tall big boys there. There are a lot of good footwork. You look at the Greece team; they got a whole lot of boys that are grit and grinders as well. And Lucky Ilias, they got some NRL talent in that. England, I feel like they're going so underrated at the moment, especially for the team that they've got. And then Samoa is always at a talking point right now because of their team they're bringing in. They look amazing on paper. Let's just see if we do it the right way,
110%. All right. So we've got some team stats and facts for you. I'll start it off first. So we have Greek here. So they're also known as the Titans. Greece actually came into the fold in 2002, so they actually started by some Greek Australians, believe it or not. So the game was actually formed here in Australia first. The first game was in September 2003, where they beat New Caledonia 10 points to 26. The biggest win was over Hungary in 2013, beating them 90 points to 0. And their biggest defeat came at the hands of Spain, 17th of October 2015, losing 4 points to 76. So again, that's just a bit of Greek history there for you guys. They're actually currently ranked 11th in the world right now as we speak. I'll just quickly refresh the ranking system just to see if that's true. Yep, yes it is. They're actually 11th in the world. So again, not too bad. A team filled of a lot of Australian influence there, and obviously again, if you guys didn't know, there was actually a time in Greece where you actually got arrested or could get arrested for actually playing rugby league.
That's crazy.
Legit.
No way.
Legit. You actually could get arrested. So one time the story, and again, me telling it won't do the story enough justice, but I will attempt at it anyway. Basically, a group of guys were versing, I think it was Greece against Serbia, I believe it was. But long story short, they actually couldn't play in a particular venue because they actually had cops and stuff right there waiting for them. So they actually tried to, how do I say? I think they said the game's postponed on Facebook to try and throw people away. And they actually went to a different arena and they played the game there.
Wow.
And it was actually pretty intense. We're talking about buses, again, low key, just trying to avoid the obviously potential catastrophe of actually being arrested. But yes, that's the story there behind Greece and how they came into the fold. They beat Serbia at the end to actually qualify for this Rugby League World Cup. But again, just quickly, for those of us who may just look at Greece and have a bit of a laugh, a casual laugh, because, hey, whatever, just remember these guys actually did more, arguably, than any other team here to actually get here, literally risking their own freedom to bloody get to the World Cup. So we've got to give them a bit more respect than what we probably would other teams, to be fair with you. It goes to show you sometimes that the game we love, we shouldn't take it for granted. But anyway, I digress. That is Greece for you. And that is me done.
That is crazy, man. That is so crazy.
What are your thoughts on that, Boogie?
The Greece team, bro, really
like,
shows love, man. The love for rugby league, just think about it in one way, if we we're playing footy out in the park, while we are as kids and stuff like that, and the police come through and telling you can't do that anymore, that's against the law and that. These guys fought through that barrier to actually get to something special. So that's crazy. Like, all respect to all those guys that have like laid the platform for the Greece team to play today. That's awesome.
110%. Yeah, that's right. And obviously the likes of Lachlan Ilias, right, playing, had it not been for this team initially doing that brave thing, trying to avoid getting arrested by the police, Lachlan Ilias wouldn't be playing for Greece. And I'm sure he's a player
Exactly.
we'll be talking about heavily come looking at the squads.
Yep.
England, over to you, brother.
All right, England. So England overall, I think they're the third, fourth best team in the world at the moment in the
Yep.
rankings and that. Got a couple of players that are very young, up and coming, that are looking really, really nice. Obviously, the biggest talking point of England this year is Victor Radley.
Yep.
So obviously, the big game last was it this morning? It was this morning, 15
Yeah, it
nil
was.
against
Yep.
Fiji. Like,
Yep.
these boys are. I honestly think they're the most underrated team in this comp, especially because of all the talking points around Samoa, Tonga, even Australia, New Zealand. Everyone's sleeping on England at the moment, especially when you go through their team list, bro, and some of the players that are bringing up like a Kai Pierce-Paul,
Yep.
21 years old, bro. That kid looks like a stud. They've still got like NRL talent all across the board. Herbie Farnworth, Sammy Tompkins, we remember as a Warriors fan, unfortunately. But he's still an amazing player. When he goes over to the Super League, bro, he kills it. It was just unfortunate times and circumstances for him to come to us. 100%, bro. I just think these guys are real slept on, especially, a really tough forward pack that always come forward. They're in for the contest. And then, they got some really strike outside backs. And as I said, with that Kai Pierce-Paul, plays second row or center, wherever they're going to chuck him in there. I know they got some experienced boys in center and that. He looks amazing. 6'5", 101 kilos. Like I couldn't rap this guy too much. Like I've seen these like highlights and that. Got a couple of errors in his game, but he's young, man. Like he's got some skills. Check out his highlights, boys, if you haven't already.
Sweet as. Thanks for that rundown. No worries. And then over to France. All right, let's do this. All right, so the French Rugby League team, also known as Les Bleus or Les Tricolores, they are actually currently ranked 8th in the world. They normally wear the blue, white, and red strip. Their first international game was actually against England in 1934. So again, for many of you guys there who obviously don't know much about the French team, believe it or not, they've actually had a very rich rugby league history. And in the 50s, again, not many people know this, they were actually the greatest team. They were actually the best international team in the 50s. But yeah, many people know that they actually beat Australia. I believe they're beating the Kiwis.
Yeah.
They're a decent team. Their biggest win came against Serbia in 2003, beating them 120-0. That is insane. And their biggest defeat came at the hands of France in 2015, losing 84 points to 4. And like I touched on before, they're currently ranked 8th in the world. And again, France tend to be much like Italy, probably on the top tier of, even though they're second tier, they tend to be in the top, the top tier anyway of, I suppose, the best teams anyway from Europe in the second tier demographic underneath England. They tend to make regular Rugby League World Cups. So basically, this will be their 16th Rugby League World Cup coming into this year. So they've been around a few times. Their greatest result was in 1954 as well as 1968, being runners up. So coming second. Obviously, this French team now compared to then is very different. France now don't seem to have that, I suppose, grit, as we all know, of them having. But in saying that, be wary of French flair, because you know what? It can sneak at any time. And with that being said, over to Tor Samoa.
So the biggest talking point probably in the World Cup, or one of the biggest talking points in the World Cup, we got Samoa. So Samoa ranked 7th in the world. Obviously, the last couple of years in that, Samoa's been building to something. They haven't been amazing at all. A couple of like dysfunctions and stuff with the playing group compared to with the coaching and that. At the moment, I'm not sure if that's all been put to bed, but they are pushing on to a World Cup team, and they're the World Cup team stacked from top to bottom. So as we all know, having big like recruitment there with like Suoli'i pledging to Samoa is probably one of the bigger talking points there. With their halves of Jerome Luai, possibly Milford or Chanel. Chanel's been named. He was said that, he wasn't going to play or whatever, and then he is playing. So it's crazy to see. I don't know whether I like Milford at number 7. So it's going to be interesting to see who they slot in there. Obviously all Penrith backline mostly if they run out that way. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how Samoa go this time. strike all over the park. Denny Levi coming back into rugby league eyes here for the NRL audiences who I used to rate, coming up through the competition, play for the Knights, play for the Broncos. Really, really good player. But yeah, I'm keen for the Samoa team. Hopefully they go really well in this World Cup.
Awesome, as and I'll just follow on from Boogie as well. So they're named as Tor Samoa. They're ranked apparently ranked 7th in the world. So their first game was actually against Tokelau in 1986, where Western Samoa at the time beat them 34 points to 12. Their biggest win came against New Caledonia in Auckland, New Zealand, 2004, winning 76 points to 0. And their biggest defeat came at the hands of the New Zealand Māori, who won 70 points to 10.
Jesus.
And Samoa will appear in their 6th Rugby League World Cup. Their best results was 2000, 2013, 2017 as well, having qualified in the quarterfinals. And like Boogie touched on, and we'll touch on it as well later on, they're a formidable team. Samoa come out with a lot of aspirations of not just making, quarters and semis, actually winning the whole damn thing. So and like you said as well, a lot of Penrith Panthers influence.
Crazy.
It's going to be a lot to definitely focus on. All right, so guys, now we jump onto the squad list, and again, please, people, feel free to ask questions. Feel free to, just ask us stuff, throw us stuff, and we'll definitely be happy to answer it as well. So now we have the Greek, the squads, and I'll be going for the Greek squad. And again, I'm going through the squads, and I'm just basically giving you guys my own personal best 17. Right. So without saying too much here, I'll get into it. And again, apologies for any mispronunciations of any Greek names. I do not mean to offend. Gee whiz, that's what I want to say. All right. So for the Greek team, we have Jordan Needs, Lachlan Ilias, Stefanos Bastas, Bosmos. We have, Jordan Needs, Lachlan Ilias, Stefanos Bastas, Nicholas Bosmos, Terry Konstantinou, Aris Dardamanus, or Nick Flockus, Miles Gall, Jake Cambos, Costa Castadonis, Greg Costi Porgiorgis, Billy Maguius, Peter Muselos, John Mustius, Nick Mugius, Theodorus Niankis, Eunice Nake, Chase Robinson, Jonas Rosglu, Sebastian Sell, Liam Suitin, Vasily Sikaris, Robert Tuliatu, Adam Vranos, Mitchell Zampadidis. And again, I'm so sorry, that was actually kind of hard.
That's
but I give it
tough,
bro. Well, there's a Samoan in this team as well, Robert Tuliatu. And just quickly, that is the Greek squad. And so what I did actually on my Instagram page, I made my own best 17. Unfortunately, the Greek team was the only team in which I found really hard to sort of find a 17, and saying that I'm happy to sort of edit it now. But basically, I have my 1 to 13, so not 1 to 17 for this team here. So the fullback I've got is Chase Robinson. The wings I have are Johnny Mistius as well as Aris Dardanmus. The centers are Mitchell Zampadias as well as Nick Mugius. The locks, the half, are Jordan Needs as well as Lachlan Ilias. And the props are Billy Sikaris as well as Rob Tuliatu. And the hooker is Peter Mamouzelos. The second row see Nick Flockus as well as Billy Muglius. And the lock is Stefano Tordius. And just quickly, my sort of overall thoughts on this team here. Look, to be fair, a lot of unknown players, right? A lot of unknown players. Sure, you can pick a handful there, the likes of Ilias. You can even look at the likes of Chase Robinson, Billy Muglius. Some players there, but generally speaking, the squad here is unknown, mixed of a lot of Australian, but also some actual Greek players from Greece themselves. And again, I touched on the fact that some players were possibly or could have been arrested. Some of these players playing are actually part of that team there. All right. So again, largely an unknown team. The strengths of Greece, I think, lay in the hands of Lachlan Ilias. That's the reality. A lot of pressure is going to be on him, unfortunately, to be delivering a lot of the kicks, the passes, you name it. He's going to be doing it all, I think. Again, not too much is known about their back line or their forward pack, but I do know one thing, all right? This Greek team have faced bigger adversities in their oppositions in front of them, so they're going to be ready to give it a good crack no matter who they play, whether it be Samoa, England, or France. they'll be ready, right? And I suppose, like I said, I touched on as well. They're a team that deserve a bit of our respect and support. And in saying that, with that Greek squad there, that's me done. But in saying that, give them a bit of respect. I think anyway. Yeah?
100%, bro. And as you touched on quickly,
Yeah.
that Chase Robinson, check him out on like highlights on YouTube and that. Kid looks
Yep.
amazing. There's a couple of studs in there, bro, that we all don't know. So, like, shout out to the Greece squad. They're doing amazing.
Yes, yeah, for sure, for sure. And just quickly as well, so Theo asks, does Greece have their own domestic comp? They do now. My understanding is recently, and I mean literally, like I think like literally like a month ago, recently, they stopped getting arrested, so you can actually now play the game. So literally, just like literally a month ago. But yeah, I believe they do. I believe they do. All right, over to you, Boogie.
Yep. So the England, like the whole squad list that is planning to go to the World Cup, we got Andy Akers, we got Joe Batchelor, we got John Bateman, Tom Burgess, Mike Cooper, Herbie Farnworth, Ryan Hall, Chris Hill, Morgan Knowles, Matty Lees, Tommy Mackison, Michael McClorum, Mike McKean, don't get me on this one, boys. Come on. Oladizicky, Kai P.S. Paul, Victor Radley, Mark Sneed, Luke Thompson, Sam Tompkins, Callum Watkins, who's a really nice player as well, Jack Wellesby, Elliot Whitehead, George Williams, and Big Dommy Young. Running off the team list, that's most likely going to play out for the England team. So we got Jack Wellesby at back. I really rate Jack Wellesby. I've been watching a little bit of highlights and that on him. He's looking really nice, makes the right decisions out back. Dom Young, as we know, Dom Young from the Knights. He's a really big mobile winger. Herbie Farnworth, great footwork. Amazing to see him in that squad. Callum Watkins, Tommy McAddison at wing. Mark Sneed and George Williams at number 7. Kind of sucks that Jacko Hastings wasn't able to make this World Cup because that team, team would have got so much better there. Tommy Burgess, Andy Akers, Matty Lees, John Bateman on an edge with Elliot Whitehead on the other edge, Victor Radley, and then finishing off with the team list, we got Sam Tompkins, Chris Hill, Joe Batchelor, or Olazeki, or you could put in Kai P.S. Paul sitting there on the bench, who I rate highly as well. So a lot of strike everywhere with this England squad. As I said before, probably not a lot of big names as like Australian viewers and stuff like that. But if you watch the Super League at any time in that, there's a lot of some boys here that got a lot of talent. As I said, that Jack Wellesby out back looks really nice. They can slot in Sam Tompkins out back if they need to. Herbie Farnworth, we know what he's built to the team. And that Kai P.S. Paul, as I keep saying, man, like that guy's got a lot of talent. As I said, really good footwork, a nice offload. And finish it off with Victor Radley, man. Like we all know Victor, what he brings to a team. That guy brings heart. And as we said before, this live stream, bro, like it sucks that he's not playing for the Blues and that, but him supporting his heritage, I believe, is so important, and it's got to build the game.
110%. And there's a question here for you, by Clark Kent. Can the English backs handle the Samoan Panthers backline with Swali'i at fullback? What do you think, man?
All right, so it's really tough. It's tough to say from if you're looking on paper, possibly not. You got a couple of NRL, Herbie Farnworth and Dommy Young, NRL talent. Callum Watkins is a really, really nice center there. He can hold down the fort really well and really nice footwork, really strong. Tommy Mackison is a nice quick winger there that loves to find the line, but that Samoa backline, man, we just know they're just so damaging. And the only big test is obviously Suoli'i at fullback. That's a really big talking point in the World Cup and just in rugby league in general. Is we've seen him once before at fullback when Teddy went down in the finals. Can he get a little passing game to him? Has he got any of that? I believe he does. He's a talented player, man. Like he is a stud. So to answer your question, bro, it's gonna be tough. It is gonna be tough. That Samoa backline is tough.
Yeah, look, I think and again compliments to Samoa, obviously, but I suppose us on this side of the world, we obviously know a lot about the Tour Samoa team and stuff, and obviously you sort of look at England and you don't watch them, you don't understand, but yeah, like you sort of touched on as well, but it's not the walkover that a lot of people are going to think it is going to be. I mean, yes, obviously Tor Samoa are good. It could very well be. You know, Tor Samoa will probably go there and roll them, but at the same time, don't be surprised if it's a tight arm wrestle. All right, because England have a formidable squad as well. Let's not. Yeah.
Well, even like to double down on that question, bro. Like, if we're talking the back line, maybe the back line may struggle, but I believe this England forward pack is something to go about as well. Victor Radley, Elliot
Yeah.
Whitehead, John Bateman. These are all really big names. Tommy Burgess. I believe they can handle the Samoa boys if they get in the grind. Like we've seen Samoa turn down contests all the time. Like, if England bring in a grindy contest, it could pull them out of the competition. So who knows?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And with that being said, we jump onto the French squad. All right. So as follows, give me 2 secs. All right. So the French squad here as follows. And again, I make apologies for any mispronunciation of names. So with that being said, we'll get into it. So Lambert, Belmaz, Aldrix, Da Costa, Jordan Desiree, Morgan Escaré, Benjamin Garcia, Tony Gago, Michael Goudemont, Benjamin Julien, Matthew Legueux, Semisoni Langi, Corentin Lecam, Paul Marcon, Anthony Marion, Arthur Moog, Eloy Pellessier, Maximin Pouche, Arthur Ramono, César Rouge, Justin Sangare, Paul Seguier, Gadwin Springer, Maxime Stefani, Louis Geoffroy, as well as Fouad Yaha. And that is the French team there. Now, look, again, I suppose obviously more known than Greece, but again, some of these players here, the only name you probably picked up on was probably Semisoni Langi. I know that when I spoke, that was the only player he picked up. And I thought the majority would, especially if you don't really know much about the French team. That's just reality.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. It is what it is. Yeah. So with this French team here, in my own 13, I've got Arthur Moog at fullback, Arthur Romano as well as Fouad Yaha as the wings, Semisoni Langi as well as Matthew Legueux in the centres. The halves are Louis Jouffet as well as Cesar Roug, and the props are Maxima Pouche as well as Justin Sangare. The hooker, Aldrix Da Costa. The second rows are Corentin Lecam as well as Benjamin Julien, and the lock is Benjamin Garcia. The reserves, the bench is Eloy Pellessier, as well as Jordan Desiree, Anthony Marion, as well as Michael Goudemont, and that is the French team there. Look, the French team in general, again, this will be their 16th World Cup, right? They're no strangers to this event. Unfortunately, not really making too much of a push in recent years. The reality is the back line is looking okay. Their forward pack, again, is okay. In terms of their strengths, they can rely on some really good hookers. Believe it or not, they've actually really got some good hookers there. Arthur Moog is a good player too in the Super League. And again, most of these players come from the Super League. Semisoni Langi playing for the Catalan Dragons. This team here for mine, I think, can rely heavily on their forward pack. I think it's probably as good as it gets for them anyway. Again, their hooking position, their spine is actually better than what we think. But again, if you don't know the players, you have no idea what's going on. But how do I say this about France? They'll come in and you'll definitely notice them, right? I do see them doing okay. Again, not a team that'll push other teams, but hey, they'll do the little thing there, right? And I suppose with that being said, I think I'll just leave it at that. I'll just quickly see the comments before we head over to Tor Samoa.
Just quickly, HTB too as well. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that Matthew Legueux? Because I looked up a lot of his tape and stuff. 6'4" center, 91 kilos, got a really, really nice footwork and nice offload. I think he's got a lot of potential in the future as well. So definitely keep an eye out for him as well.
Yeah, look, I agree. He's a young up-and-coming French star as well. But believe it or not, he's actually not. Well, though he's tall at 6'4", he's not the tallest. France actually have a player, and I think he's probably the tallest in the tournament. His name is Corentin Lecam, and I believe he comes in at 203 or 4 centimeters. So he's actually taller than Nelson Asopasolo. All right,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I believe he's about 203, 204 centimeters. So I think that probably officially qualifies him as the tallest player. I think,
that's
wild. Because I believe Nelson Asopasolo is about 201 to 200 centimeters. So this Lecam dude is.
He's a tall man.
He's a tall dude. But as they say around the legs, he goes down easy. All right, man. Tour Samoa, bro. Over to you.
Okay, so Tom Samoa squad, the complete squad that's going over to England. We got Josh Alloway as well. If I don't pronounce this properly, I do apologize as well. I'll try my best, being a husband of a Samoan girl. So, Fayamanu Brown, Stephen Crichton, Matt Fagai, uh, Brendan Hamilnueli, Chanel Harris Tavita, Royce Hunt, Oregon Kafusi, Luciano Leilua, which is up in the air at the moment, unfortunately.
No,
We'll
I
continue
think,
on.
yeah, I think the squad announced then. I don't believe he's playing anymore. No,
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
that's unfortunate. Spencer Linu, Denny Levi, Jerome Aluai, uh, Taylor May, Tyrone May, Anthony Milford, Josh Bapali'i, Junior Bolo, Jaden Sua, Joseph Suali'i, sorry, Hamasai Tibwau Fidal, Isaac Tongo, Martin Tapau, and Brian To'o, and Kelma Tuolangi, who I rate highly as well. Going off the team that they could be running out, it's a highly debated team, like, whether
Yep.
what they're going to really run out 1 to 13, especially even on the bench. But as you've got here, HTB, it's like in between Hammer or Suli'i, either one of
Feel
those
free, yeah.
boys. But
Feel
yeah,
free to check
continuing
it.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those, Brian Toto, Isaac Tungo, Stephen Crichton, and whether Hamasai or Suli'i play winger in that, or Taylor May, who's going to come in, obviously, and probably fill out that back line. Jerome Luai, Anthony Milford, I believe, will snag that half spot. I think he's been playing really decently at the moment. His kicking game looked really nice in the Pacific Cup against the Cookies. I rate him highly. Junior Polo, Faimanu Brown, Josh Papali'i, Jaden Sua. On the second row, I had Luciano Leilua, but this has kind of got me in a spin in that. I don't know who you slot into that second row spot. Got a couple other boys that you can bring in there, like Spencer Lino or whatever, could probably do a job there. Josh Alloway at 13. Number 14, you go Denny Levi, or you could end up putting in Tyrone May, who can do a job at 14 as well. A really, really nice player there. Oregon Kafusi, Braden Hamilueli, and Spencer Linu, whether he comes on the bench or not. So they got a lot of boys there that can fill in spots as well. It's like it's a very mixed team. As I said, it's like debated all across the park who they're going to chuck there, because they're so stacked coming over from Australia and Samoa.
Manasseh asked, and again, thanks, bro. Hamasio playing potentially at 14 is concerning he had no. So apparently, I think he might be playing 14. What are your thoughts? Would you put Hamasio the Hammer? Would you put him at 14? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know, man. Like it's a really tough call, because number one, like Hammer, he can play a couple positions like a center, a winger, or a fullback. But like, I don't know. When you have someone like Tyrone May, who I believe is a really good talent, like across the board, he's been used to playing 14 back when he was playing for the Panthers and stuff. I believe he's good to have there. You have Denny Levi that he can carry as a two hooker combination. But the Hammer's so talented, man. Like it kind of sucks, because it's the same thing going on with the Cowboys and him going to the Dolphins now, which is going to be good for him, obviously. But he was at the Cowboys, they were struggling to even go like Granville and that. So they really, really light on the bench. I don't know, bro. It's really tough. I really don't know, because Suli'i pledging to Samoa obviously would have probably pushed him out of that fullback spot, to be honest.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it's as simple as that. Look, yeah, it is tough. It is tough because he's such a good player, but again, the Samoan backline is so stacked, and so full of power and height, and strength and all that stuff there. And I don't know. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's unfortunate, but in saying that, he makes a good depth cover. And he's definitely somebody. He's a handy replacement. You know what I mean? Like, end of story. He's a very good replacement.
And to catch up on what I said before, to play probably that second row position to fill in that spot, we got Kelma Tuolangi as well, who can do a definite job. He's an awesome player as well. Definitely look out for him if he does snag that spot. Now, it sucks that Luch can't go, but as we said, like positivity, you can't. Yeah, we can talk about that here. That sucks. So Yeah, across the board, very, very strong squad. As we said before, the depth everywhere. The halves are really nice. I believe the halves are really, really strong. Um, yeah, I really rate the Samoa's chance at the moment to even get top three, top four, and maybe even win this thing, man. Like that team is amazing.
100%. Got a question here from Clark Kent over to you. Boogie, do you think Samoa picked too many props? Looks like they're using the Panthers rotation by stocking the bench with props. What are your thoughts on that? They do have a lot of
Uh,
props, though, to be fair. They do.
to be fair, as we're looking through this list, you got Royce Hunt, Oregon Kafusi,
Yeah.
um, yeah, Spencer Linu, who come in and play prop usually.
Papali'i,
Uh, yeah, bro, like they're stacked all the way through.
Polo.
Bro, you're possibly right. Like maybe, yeah, that's the only probably I'd say maybe their only big problem there. But even then, like I think their second row boys, they play decent minutes, and I feel like players like Oregon Kafusi can do a job on an edge. Like a
Yeah.
Spencer Linu probably can do a job on an edge. But it could definitely be a weak point for Samoa is probably their edge back rowers. If they start getting tired, they'll probably end up putting in some less experienced edge back rowers. So that could be unfortunate there.
Would you, yeah,
Great
actually,
question.
yeah, that is a good question. And you touched on it, touched on that. And I think I will ask you that. What would you think, Boogie, are Samoa's strengths? And what do you think are their weaknesses heading into this Rugby League World Cup? And again, have in mind, we're talking about a game against England, against the
Yep.
Kiwis, Tonga, yeah? Not against Greece or France, against top
Yep.
opposition. What will their strengths be? What will their weaknesses be?
This probably comes to a real big surprise to people, but like it's not just the front row. Like the front row is amazing. Obviously, Bubbly and Paulo. It's that back line, man. If that back line can click into gear and really play their backline sets, they'll look really, really nice. The only downfall that I see really with Samoa is, as I said, like if we get into a grindy contest and stuff, is whether they can turn their nose away and really fall out of a contest.
Yeah,
Especially as we brought up before with those edge back rolls and stuff. But I feel like their strength at the moment is their backline, that old Penrith backline. They're really deadly. Hopefully, Suli'i can get some really nice hands on the ball and like slip plays out the back, and get Taylor May and all that some really nice ball in the corner. So yeah, I believe they're really strong there. They're still bringing like Matt Fagai, who I rate highly as well,
yeah,
over. But I believe it's their backline comparatively to their forwards. Their forwards look fucking amazing, but as we said, there's just no balance there. It's very top heavy with props. Um, yeah, great question from Clark too. By the way, like that's yeah, I didn't really put too much thought into that, especially where you just see the names on the list and you go,
yeah.
yeah, that's stacked, but the balance on their second rows, it's not there at the moment, especially with Luch missing out.
No, I agree. And just quickly as well, we spoke of this back line, and you mentioned a lot of players, but these I don't think you've touched on this player in particular.
Mm.
Brian To'o. Brian
Oh,
To'o.
bro.
Now, first and foremost, good luck trying to tackle this guy.
Yep.
And how pivotal do you think he is to Samoa's chances? Look, let's be honest. In terms of wingers, he's probably the best going around in terms of work. In terms of actual work, this guy makes over 200 meters per game. Those stats
Mm-hmm.
are unseen of, unheard of. Will probably never be replicated again.
No.
How pivotal do you think he is to Samoa's chances? And is he one of the go-to guys, big impact players for Toa Samoa?
Well, as you touched on HTB just there, obviously he starts off the sets so well. Knowing how Penrith play their football at the moment, their forwards are mainly there for defensive smash, just kill anything that comes at them. And then
Yeah,
basically when it comes to fifth tackle, you got to kind of handle Brian Toto, Taylor May, and all those boys coming through. And like I don't know what your opinion is, but in that grand final, I believe Brian Toto was probably second or third in line to get that Clive Churchill, and that was a winger playing in the grand final. I can't
yeah,
remember the last time a winger's ever won a Clive Churchill, if he has ever won a Clive Churchill. And that's how important he is to the Panthers. He's just going to slot that straight into Samoa. And especially with these boys that play for the Panthers, they fly the Samoan flag like with pride. I believe they're going to give heart into the Samoa team. And yeah, Brian Toto is going to be massive for Samoa, bro.
110%. And I agree. And I suppose with that, we'll move to the next segment.
Yep.
Boogie, over to you, though. Two key Pool A matches that you're keen to watch.
Okay, so I'm keen. I'm actually really keen to watch Greece versus Samoa, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Like I'd love to see just how Samoa's backline does attack. Obviously, it frees up a lot, but I'm really, really keen to see this Chase Robinson. Like I rate him highly. I've watched a lot of his highlights and stuff like that coming in the Rabbitohs system. I'd love to see how he would go against an all NRL front line. Um, forward pack and all that sort of stuff, bringing the ball back. Obviously, the biggest matchup we all want to see is England versus Samoa. I think that's the biggest matchup we all want to see. Leave that to last. Obviously, you want to see Victor Radley come heads with like a Junior Bullo or something like that, and
Yes.
all across the park. That's going to be an amazing game. That's to me the biggest game I want to see.
Look, to be fair with you, that's also like a grand final worthy match. To be fair,
100%, 100%.
Yeah, look, for me, my first two games, I guess, you touched on it. It is what it is. England versus Samoa, the opening games of the Rugby League World Cup, mind you. So it's the biggest game because I believe whoever wins this probably takes their pool, and we'll touch on the predictions after this segment. But I think it's as simple as that. The next game, too, I think I want to watch is actually Greece against France.
100%.
You know what I mean? They're just going to duel it out. And it's just good for the game, good for European, rugby league generally. So, those are probably the two games for me. Now, Boogie, we're going to go over to our Pool A rank predictions, I guess, from fourth to first. And again, just a bit of analytics, as to why you believe so. So I guess in saying that, over to you first, man.
All right, sweet. So, as I said before, I'll put all my bias aside. And this is people are gonna like start like questioning me and this sort of stuff. But I believe England are probably going to end up taking out this group. I really think England is going to go England number 1, Samoa number 2. I'm going to see Greece, then France. I believe that in England's squad, it's been there. It's got a couple of really nice players, but I believe when it gets into the nitty gritty, they will come away with a decent win. Their edge back rowers are really, really nice. John Bateman, what else can I say? Victor Radley's there, man. Like they're looking really, really nice. They got some really good key pieces in their back line. Dom Young, Herbie Farnworth. I believe they can contend with Samoa, but I believe that when it comes, that first game is going to be so pivotal, as you said. Samoa can definitely pull it out, but I believe England are really slept on in this World Cup. I really do, man. I really do.
For sure. All right, so those are your rankings there. So England, Samoa, France, and then Greece.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, so my thoughts on this, my ranking. Look, for me, I want to have Samoa. I want to have Samoa coming at first. All right, and I'll explain why. Obviously, I think heading into this game here, everyone expects, and I hope that's not the case though, but everyone is expecting Samoa to play that typical Samoan game, forwards, powerhouse. But I think if they can switch it around and play a more conservative style approach, why doing a kicking it, like you're playing for Penrith, right?
Yeah.
Having a more conservative approach, more tactical. I think that'll not only will that open the gates for their backline, but I think it'll just open the gate for more, I suppose, a conservative approach, right? And again, using less energy. I don't know how that sort of looks, but you get my point. Instead of using the smash and bash that a lot of island nations use, that's the reality. That's what we do. That's what we love to do. If you play a bit of a more structured, smart game, I think Samoa actually have a chance. You're right. Because if Samoa grind, England will grind, and I think England just come out on top because they love that. That's their league. That's what they love grind, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they'll have the more powerful forwards generally, but I know they have the more fitter forwards, and that's just it's a game of attrition. It's a game of fitness. England, it is what it is. But I think if Samoa, and that's what I'm betting on, that Samoa don't come at this with fists of fury, but they come at this with a more calmer approach, 40-20, kicking on the fifth, nothing too fancy, just a smart play. So for me, I think if they do that, then my prediction is they come first. That's what I think. Now, England comes second, obviously, in hopes that they lose to Samoa. Coming third for me will be France. Greece, again, respect to them. Beautiful story. I think the best story in the Rugby League World Cup, to be fair to you guys. But again, I see them coming in at fourth place. It is what it is. But I have Samoa, England, France, and Greece. But in saying that, I see what you mean, though. Obviously, England can still beat Samoa, to be fair with you. And I think the points you touched on is fair point. They've got a decent forward pack. They've got a very good back line. They're a team that have played a lot of games together. Super League, NRL. This is a mix of the best comps, the two hemispheres playing for England. And you're right, they're slept on. And like I said, we talk a lot of noise about Samoa because we're from this side of the world, but I feel like England's getting slept on here. And a lot of people are coming in and sort of just, thinking that they'll be slapped on, slapped around, punched around. These guys beat Fiji today, 50 points to 0. Again, a warm-up game, but they beat them 50 points to 0. That wasn't even England's best team. That wasn't even Fiji's best team.
No.
I think that's all you need to know.
I think like overall, like would a lot of people's thoughts maybe have changed if Jackson Hastings was put into that squad? I don't believe a lot of thoughts would have changed. I think everyone's just sleeping on England and that. I just kind of said before, it's going to be very close. Like, as I have England on top, but I believe it's going to be very, very close, man. Like that Samoa team, as you said before, if Anthony Milford and Luai get their kicking game right, and Milford's got a really nice chip over the top, he'll get into like those he's got a really nice short kicking game, I believe. His long kicking game's okay, and he's got a really nice bomb to him. But Luai, he plays off the cuff so well, so they could play that really nice out the back football with their edge, their centers and their wingers, who are like two of the best wingers in the NRL at the moment, two of the best centers in the NRL at the moment. Like they got a lot of strike everywhere. They just need to stay disciplined, exactly like Ethan Armstrong has just said there. They just need to stay disciplined, and they should come out on top. But I just have this little edge that I think England, man, like they're just going to come out and say, everyone slept on us. We'll show them what's going on. So, yeah.
Yeah, for real. And I agree with you. And I think that's what makes the first game very interesting, because
100%.
Everyone's got their own viewpoint, but it doesn't matter until kickoff. And I think that's that's going to be a good game.
That's exactly it, bro. Yeah.
For sure. All right, guys. So that sort of ends the Rugby League World Cup conversation of this discussion here. But we're actually going to go into something else. It's a little bit different, still Rugby League related. Don't worry. But I think it's more the electronic side of things, because, look, it is what it is. You probably play video games. I play a bit of video games. But we'll bring this up. Rugby League video games. So, look, I'll let Boogie as well just sort of talk about this, but I just need to quickly say, obviously, Rugby League World Cup is happening, right? There's been no video game for that. NRL happening next year. It's going to be a 17-team comp. Nothing for that. The Super League, obviously, things are happening in different parts of the world. Rugby League, no noise, nothing. Give me your thoughts, man, on this, and just go at it, man. All
right. So overall, basically, I know everyone, like, we all understand that there's not a lot of money in the Rugby League, like in Blue Ant and all that sort of stuff to create another a game. I honestly thought Rugby League Live 4 was an okay game, a really nice game that they've built on a lot of things that they could have built on earlier on.
Yeah. Good point.
But as we have spoke about before, bro, they've missed a massive opportunity here. The reason why like EA Rugby and all that sort of stuff became massive is the international game. Like, they have like, you could play as the Wallabies, you could play as the All Blacks, you could play all that sort of stuff. In this game, like if you had the World Cup feeding into it, I believe there would be more eyes on the video game. And secondly, I think the way they go about their video game and all that sort of stuff is not sort of the best way. If you look at like FIFA 2K, they have a massive content community, like, content game is massive into how much money that actually gets filtered into the game. And they miss a lot of opportunities. Like, could you imagine a rugby league game with an ultimate team? Like, I've said that with like the amount of people that I've like, imagine if they had like, an ultimate team, they have like flashback cards and stuff like that, like a flashback Andrew Johns, a flashback Darren Lockyer, flashback Stacey Jones playing with like a golden boot Sean Johnson, like a Warriors RTS. Like, there's so many things that they could do in this game and build the community on Twitch, YouTube, and put more money back into the game and just keep growing. Like, the only way we grow, like, as people, like as a content creator yourself, the only way you grow is if you keep doing it. You know what I mean? Like, you keep putting something out there and you just build on top of it. I feel like a lot of gaming community, like, it's just all about the money. If they just keep getting there, build, they will get the community. They will get the money that comes later on. Like, that's my honest view on it. They've really missed the mark here.
No, I agree, and well said. Yeah, that's right. You got the Rugby League World Cup 2022 coming. Just like this whole year could have been, or even last year, to be fair, you could have built up on the international game so much, and even next year for the NRL 2023 season, the Dolphins added. Now we've got like an old 2017 game that literally structured around 16 teams now, right, in the NRL. It's well, even then that game was okay at best. 2017 was, Rugby League Live 4 was okay. Like, it was okay, and look and saying that, I just think I like Boogie touched on, a missed opportunity to promote the game, to have the game, to again add more new things. The reality is, when it comes to sport right now, whether you like it or not, goes side by side with video games, right? That's the reality. you know, FIFA, NBA, NFL, NHL, you know, AFL as well. And unfortunately, I just think they missed the mark severely, and it's actually poor. It's rubbish, and I'm not sure if you heard anything, Boogie, but are they making? I don't think they're making any rugby league games anytime soon, are they?
Uh, from what I hear, there's rumors back and forth that they were and that. There was rumors a little while ago that they were gonna make a new rugby league game. I I don't know. To be honest, like my honest opinion, my last like favorite rugby league game that ever came out was like Rugby League. I think it was like Rugby League Live 2. Remember
Yeah,
like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. Yeah, you had like Benji Marshall and all that sort of stuff like at the Tigers
yeah,
and that was my last like favorite rugby league game. I played Rugby League Live 3. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really arcadey, but I really enjoyed it. And at Rugby League Live 4, they took a really big step into like getting like the player models looking as nice as they did for the best that they could. And they try to bring tactics into the game, and it was really tough for like the new player, I guess. But it was also like really nice for a player of like who's been playing the series for a while.
yeah,
Uh, it's just a real missed opportunity, man. Like as I said, like I I think everyone agrees it's like it would be amazing if they had a my team or an ultimate team sort of thing. And even if it does bring microtransactions into it, unfortunately, we need to build these communities so they can keep making games. Like that's the only way they're going to make money from these sort of games is whether we can put into it and there's more eyes on the games through Twitch, YouTube. Work with the community, like understand what they want and try to do it as best as you can and just grow over the years. You know what I mean? Like that's how COD became what it was. That's how Battlefield became what it was, unfortunately,
yeah,
before 2042. Like it's just what you got to do. You just got to just keep putting something out there, listen to the community, understand what to change, and just make it happen. I know. What's
yeah.
your view, HTB?
Oh, look, my opinion is I agree with what you're saying as well. I'm just sort of imagining as well. On FIFA they got a game mode called Skill Practice, right? I think that's what it's called. Can you imagine that on rugby league, you know, like a rugby league game, you know, like
Yeah.
practicing moves and all that stuff, or even as far as to go like you know, the old NFL games, the mini games,
Yep.
have like
Yep.
one situation or one, you know, like these so much. Yeah, it's actually quite poor. And again, hats off to all the rugby league live content creators who are just grinding away,
Mm,
just knowing that it's just. And I know they want a new game. You know, I do as well. We all do, but it's just it's poor. In saying that though, these hope that they can do something next year. I don't know, man, but
yeah.
I just feel like the NRL, of all them billions, you know, the billions or millions or whatever it is they make, I'm
Mm,
surprised no one has actually been like, oh, let's try and invest in the game, use our own money to get
yeah.
something happen. They haven't, and I
No.
think that's one side that NRL is very poor and actually is coming to the gaming community. What are your thoughts on that? Actually, the NRL and the
Yeah.
gaming community, yeah, they do a poor job, I think.
I completely agree, man. Like as I said, like I think a lot of people that like a lot of like I'll put this as an Aussie boy.
Yeah,
Probably the first taste of NBA that you've ever had is either NBA Live or NBA 2K. You probably never even watched it on TV, like ESPN and all that sort of stuff. If you weren't rich enough, you won't be able to watch it. But
yeah,
maybe you had a PlayStation 2 that you could play like NBA Live or 2K, and that was your eyes into the sport, and that put more eyes into like you started seeing players that you really enjoy, and you're like, oh, I might follow this, and you put money into the game by maybe buying like a NBA League Pass or
yeah,
NFL does exactly the same thing with Madden, like and FIFA. Like the amount of people that play FIFA, man, there's so much eyes onto soccer in general.
yeah,
It's the only way you're going to make money for the game is you invest in yourself, invest in your game, and invest in like the community in general, what they enjoy. And I feel like NRL or rugby league in general just they jump those sort of steps. They don't put as much into themselves. They try to keep the money for like select groups of the community. So, as I said, like, as we're talking about the Rugby League World Cup, and this is in general. We'd rather put all the money in State of Origin. And I completely agree. State of Origin is our biggest thing to bring to the world. But when we still have all these people that get on, like, on Foxtel and all that sort of stuff saying about, like, oh, why is Suliti playing for Samoa? Why is this? And, like, oh, he should be playing for in New South Wales or
yeah,
Queensland. We're taking the money away from something that could grow the game internationally, like rugby
yeah,
union was, or in Australia, the biggest sport still is AFL. And I don't like, a lot of people maybe that watch our channels and stuff, they probably believe NRL, but more eyes in Australia are on AFL than there is NRL. And it's the real reason is because we still believe we're a national rugby league. We're an Australian rugby league. We're not a New Zealand rugby league. We're not a Toa Samoa rugby league. We're not Tonga Samoa. Like that's the biggest thing with the NRL is they put all their money and they say we're a community of just us, New South Wales Rugby League, all that sort of stuff. And they don't put money into the international game, or they don't build anything else because they want to keep putting money into a system that's just, I believe it's just going to keep rolling the same way as possible unless they break the system, which is hopefully what this World Cup is doing.
Yeah, well, one can only hope. And I think that's a good point you touched on as well, about the rugby league or NRL rugby league in general Australia is we boast of the international game, but the reality is, especially in Australia, we don't really do much for it, or even New Zealand, to be fair. Not much at all. And yeah, that's right. And I suppose as we conclude just quickly, AFL is the national sport here. And again, NRL love to claim that they're National Rugby League, but they don't really cover as much states as I think they do now. Granted, I suppose I'm going off on a tangent here, but it's actually good that the Dolphins are in. I'm not gonna disagree with that. I agree. But then 18th team, you got to be looking west side. You got to be looking at either WA or SA. It's as simple as that. All right, that's it. Like, there's no debate. Don't talk about New Zealand team. Don't talk about another New Zealand team. All right, and I say this as a New Zealander. Don't bring it.
I don't want that. I don't want that.
Don't do it for one or two reasons. The first one is if they come and they win a comp for the Warriors, I'm going to lose it.
Oh, bro, that's me.
But also,
I completely agree with you, bro.
Yeah, that's right. And anyway, sorry, that had nothing to do with video games. But another thing as well, AFL actually making another video game as well as we speak. But anyway, this is not an AFL chat. Yes. Invest in the game. It's just that simple. International game is how the game grows. Look at NBA and dreams. Yeah, that's right. That's the reality. And I suppose that can be another debate too, but the reality is, I don't care how, and again, Boogie, feel free to either agree or disagree with me, but I don't care how hardcore you are when it comes to state of origin. The only way the game grows is through International Rugby League. That's it.
Exactly.
Obviously, I understand that the games in Australia is big origin. I get it. I understand the history. But International Rugby League, I think, is the only way the game sort of grows. Do you want to touch on that? You want to disagree with it? Agree? What are your thoughts?
I agree completely. It's the only reason why the rugby and all that sort of stuff is as big as it is. Like, the international games overtaken the rugby in a lot of aspects from that, but there's a lot more eyes on rugby in the world. You got England competitions, you got French competitions, you got all that, bro. Like, before looking into these teams and stuff, I'll be completely honest. I'm like, I thought I knew Super League a little bit. I barely know Super League as much as what someone like you, or you know what I mean. Like, you got a very good taste of range of the leagues around the world. USA got some leagues. We don't see them. We don't see any of it. We don't get televised it or anything. It's the only way to grow the game is if you want to get really good talent, we got to search everywhere, man. There's some players in Fiji that are amazing, big boys that can move real well. You got players in the in Samoa that are killers. You got players in Tonga that are killers. Papua New Guinea have got some boys there that we put them into the Queensland comp, but we haven't we haven't helped them flourish and maybe even bring them into the NRL. There's a whole lot of things that we could be doing, but I feel like we just keep this whole same thing of Queensland, New South Wales. Everyone else can kind of like Melbourne obviously are there, but they only got one team, but everyone else can figure out their own way. Yeah. And we'll get all the money for everything. So it's pretty unfortunate. And it's a reason why a rugby league game could help, it could get some eyes, because who knows if a big streamer around the world, just someone goes, oh, just try this game on Steam or anything like that. And he picks it up and goes, oh, this sport's actually crazy. You know what I mean? It's little things like that, bro. They don't really pick up on.
No, not at all. And I suppose in saying that, we'll also just conclude. But last comment here by Sammy T Dog. Rugby is on the decline, though. I'm assuming means rugby union. As a rugby league fan, I say good job then. Good. I hope it declines really fast then. I don't watch rugby, Anyway. In saying that, though, thank you again, guys, for chatting. Quickly as well, I just want to thank Boogie for being part of this. Please, if you haven't done so already, I've got here on the bottom, as you guys can see, I'm promoting his stuff. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Subscribe to his Instagram. This guy covers not only rugby league, but other different sports as well. He's very well knowledgeable of what he explains and talks about. And obviously, again, follow him because, hey, he's a Warriors fan as well.
And just to finish off quickly too,
yeah.
if anyone hasn't subscribed to HTB, honestly, like his hosting and that, I'm a very shy person usually. Like I do YouTube. It's a lot easier talking solo to a camera than it is to talking to a random person. That he is one of the best hosts and stuff. Like coming into like live stream podcasts and that, he made me feel so amazing. Made me feel knowledgeable that I can speak my stuff. If you haven't subscribed to him, subscribe down below if you want any like footy content, bro. Like you got knowledge everywhere. USA, France. I'll follow you on Instagram. Your stuff is crazy. So definitely shout out to you. And quickly, to all the boys last time, all my boys I didn't shout out. Shout out to all you boys. You know who you are. Don't, all that sort of stuff. Let's go.
Oh, look, love it, man. Love it. And again, I continue saying subscribe to Boogie as well. Again, great dude. And as you can tell there, he's a humble dude. He loves the stuff, loves, genuine passion. I love it. That's the reason why he's on here. But thank you guys for joining. Don't forget to subscribe to him, follow him. And again, take it easy, boys. Is there anything else you just want to quickly say before we wrap this up?
Honestly, just one more thing. As we see, like HTB wearing the love hat, share the love, man. In a time the way we got right now and all that sort of stuff, like we got to be positive. Everything's got to be positive. Just love each other. It's the only way we grow as a community. It's a great initiative, my bro. And I don't know. Go Arsenal. Go New Zealand. Go the Warriors.
Yeah, let's go. Anyway, take it easy, guys, and thank you again. And if you want your team to win, what do you have to do? Hold the ball. Take it easy. Let's see you guys.